Statement of advertisements. The public meeting of the Hudson Regional Pre-K 12 Board of Education is called to order. Adequate notice of this meeting was published in the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PI 1975, C231, and notices were for board members and were posted as required. Statement to the public. Often comments and here members of our audience that the Board of Education takes action with very little comment and in many cases by unanimous vote. Before a matter is placed on the agenda at a public meeting, the administration has thoroughly reviewed the matter with the superintendent of schools. The members of the board work with the administration and superintendent to ensure that the members fully understand the matter. Only then is placed on the agenda for action at a public meeting. In the rare instances, the matter represents the Board of Education for discussion at the same meeting that final action may be taken. Roll call.
Ms. Campbell?
Present.
Ms. Stout?
Here.
Ms. Jacobs?
Here.
Ms. Payne-Wells?
Here.
Ms. Knox?
Here.
Mr. Krueger? Ms. Messina?
Here.
Ms. Stock?
Here.
Mr. Wickenberger?
Here.
Dr. Beam?
Here.
Ms. Penfield?
So there's no whole business, so you can go right into reports. The student representative report is really on a word.
Sorry, it's my first time doing this. It is. So it's just very low. Highlands Elementary School reports the following student council news from advisors Mrs. Hartstreet and Mrs. McBain. During the Highlands Student Council Interest Week on September 12th, we discussed the requirements for this year's Student Council Highlands Student Council elections will take place on Friday, September 27th. Students in grades 4 through 6 will go to the gym where an overview will be given of how U.S. citizens vote, reminding students of the upcoming election in November. There will be a town hall meeting where the candidates will answer a series of questions, followed by a candidate speech. Students will register to vote and then pass their ballots in the voting booth. Hudson Regional reports the following. Mr. Michael Boylan, who is in the room, that the AV Club is gearing up for their first Hot Wing show of the season with a new format. This year, their show will be Truth or Dab, a Hot Wing challenge where a student will host the show to faculty guests. The faculty will either have to answer tough questions or eat the hottest wings in the land. For episode 1, we will be joined by Ms. McCarthy and Mr. The HHRS Admiral Players held auditions this week for the upcoming high school musical, Urinetown. Yeah, that's really the title. Urinetown is the story of a world that has run out of water, where citizens are forced to pay the use of the public restrooms to handle their business. The downtrodden and poor, long abused by the corporation-controlled government, eventually rebel and fight for their right to pee freely. But will their efforts be enough to save themselves and the world? Performances are December 5th and 7th, and tickets will be available starting September 23rd by visiting www.showtix4u.com and searching HHRS. That's show, T-I-X, the number 4 in the letter U. Search HHRS to get your tickets starting Monday. Last year, the Science Club and 8 environmental science classes participated in the National Wildlife Federation's Eco School Certification Program, led by Mrs. Walton. After completing and writing up numerous projects over the summer, Hudson was awarded the National Wildlife Federation's Silver Eco School Certification. Last year's projects included shoreline fence building to protect endangered pike plovers, winter migratory seal and bird observation at Sandy Hook, Hartshorn Wood Stream and Sandy Hook Bay water studies, and beach cleanups. We look forward to participating in the National Wildlife Federation conservation efforts this year. The Hudson Pep Band had their first performance at the Keyport home football game on Saturday, September 14th. Led by Mr. McGill, along with 30 Hudson Band students, performed for the crowd throughout the game and cheered for their home team. Finally, Mrs. Higgins would like to congratulate the students that completed their summer reading. To promote the love of reading throughout the year, keep an eye out for special events and contests coming up soon during the morning announcements. Happy reading. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Davis?
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. She is our National Honor Society president, a member of the STEAM Academy, a sports manager, a member of the Science Club, Art Club, and Journalism Club. She is part of the District Wellness Committee. Juliana hopes to go to Smith College or Middlebury College to pursue a degree in biology. Later in life, she wants to work in the biomedical field. So we are so excited to have you with us this year, sharing out all of the great stuff that happens in our school. So welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great. So welcome back, everybody. It is September, and this is our first official meeting of the school year while our students are back. We have had a great opening to the school year. So we kicked it off with some really incredible PE days for our staff on September 3rd and 4th. There were a variety of learning opportunities. We got together as building-based teams on September 3rd, and then the entire district came together to collaborate on September 4th. We also wanted to make sure we did some fun team-building activities, so we hosted the first annual staff field day here at Henry Hudson. It was very competitive. If you can picture right where the audience is sitting, 104 different staff members doing a relay race where they had to blow up balloons and then sit on them to pop them so that they could win. It was very, very competitive. There was a lot of back and forth between the teams, but we did finally award gold, silver, and bronze medalists. I have walked around some of the classrooms and seen some of the gold medals hanging in the teachers' windows or doors. One of them is here with us tonight. Gold medalist is here with us tonight. So it was a great time, really great for the staff to do some bonding, really get to know each other now that we are one district. So it was excellent. I want to thank the PTOs always who feed us on those days. We didn't start that way and then have their yummy food to keep going back to throughout the day. I don't know if we would make it through those long days. So as always, thank you to the PTOs for everything that you do for us. We are in full swing with back to school nights. So Henry Hudson and Atlantic Highlands have very successful back to school nights on Monday night and Tuesday night. Highlands will end our schedule of back to school nights tomorrow night at 6 p.m. I want to thank the building level administrators, the teachers, for always being so prepared and welcoming our parents back to school just like we do our students. Over the next week, we will finalize and finish up our benchmarks for the opening of the school year. We are treating those benchmarks like we would typical testing. So if we want to use our benchmarks as indicators for standardized tests in the future, we need to treat how we deliver those benchmarks the same way. And the kids have been champions, like they've really been great. It's hard to come back and benchmark right away, but it helps us get that really important data that helps to set our instructional path going forward. We also have started with our multi-tiered system of support consultations with Mrs. Natalie Doherty. So she has been meeting with our instructional coaches and our intervention team and our administrative team at the elementary schools to help make sure that we've put in place a lot in terms of intervention. We are now fully staffed with math and literacy interventionists in all 3 buildings that are dedicated to those buildings. We have a comprehensive benchmarking system through iReady, Linkit, Dibbles, and other indicators that we use for our students at the beginning of the school year. We have data warehouses that are built in spreadsheets. Now it is about the actual implementation of that program. Now that all of those pieces are in place, so Mrs. Doherty is working with us to work on improving our Tier 1 interventions in the classroom, which will then lead to improved outcomes for Tier 2 and Tier 3 students. So it's really been great. We've gotten really good feedback on that consultation. Our open house for Henry Hudson is October 8th at 6 p.m. That's where we highlight our incredible middle school, high school programs, including our STEAM Academy. So that's open to all of our families that are starting that transition into high school so that you can learn more about the transition from middle school to high school and all of the incredible programming that we have up here, both in the classroom and then extracurricularly. So it's a really great night, and that will be here on October 8th. And then finally, one of the big fundraisers for our district is the Chili Fest. That will be held on October 12th in Atlantic Highlands. It's from 5 to 9 p.m. It is one of the Ed Foundation's largest fundraisers that they do. And I can't say enough about the Hudson Education Foundation and what they do for our teachers. They have given our staff grants for STEM and STEAM education technology that has allowed us to purchase different technology, different programming, resources for our kids. They do so much to support our teachers. It's absolutely outstanding, and it's also a lot of fun. You need to fortify your bellies. I think last year, Mr. Pritchard ate, 47 different kinds of chili. I don't know how he survived. I got to like 15, and then I had to tap out of chili, but it is delicious. It's a lot of fun. There are bands, lots of entertainment, and it's just a great night for a really good cause. So I hope everybody comes out for that. And that's my report.
Next, please. So I don't have a board presence for it. I just want to thank the PTO, Girl Scouts, and then the Henry Hudson also Education Foundation for coming out tomorrow back to school last night. We will see everyone again tomorrow night, the final one. And then they're also working board committee reports. So they're doing business in this year. So Jack.
Thank you. So I just wanted to point out that on tonight's agenda, you'll see adjusting numbers for a direct install project that we did at Atlantic Highlands. It's been going on for a year now, and it's at its final stages, and they were able to rerun their energy saving reports, and we were able to reduce our part by $61,175. So that whole project has been reduced, and they will pick up more of the cost of it because of energy saving from what they installed. So that's great news. I wanted to thank the board office staff. This summer has been, summer's always busy because that's our busy time when the kids aren't in the building for facilities projects, closing the budget, starting a new one. But with the regionalization, it's been exceptionally busy, and we are learning new things all the time with how to bring this together and how to do it as one district, and the staff has been fabulous. And I just wanted to give kudos to all of them. I'd like to invite them to the board meeting, I think, if proper. And then also on tonight, you see that Mr. Spano is resigning, and I wanted to thank him for all his hard work. He's been a real asset to the schools and made such a large difference from the VAs doing the job to the facilities person in here, which has been great. But also tonight, we have been able, with Paul's help, he helped recruit his replacement. So I wanted to welcome Anthony tonight. Anthony Metters to stand up. He's our new person. That's my report.
Thank you. We'll move on to the principal's reports.
So, yeah. So this month we don't have principals reports. So obviously, because we are now one district, we're used to having 3 different board meetings and all 3 principals reporting out. After this month, we will be highlighting different programs within the schools. So we will still be doing some student of the month recognition and staff members of the month recognition. And then we will be highlighting our programs through our teachers and students, whether that's performances, their presentations. But now that we have a student representative that represents all 3 schools, we're going to funnel a lot of the reports from the schools that would typically be done by the principals to Ms. Rodan, and she is going to report out. And then if there are things that are specific to the schools, the principals will report out.
So we'll move on to the presentations, recognition, and award. Up first is, I won't spoil it.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mr. McCarthy, the principal at this glorious building. I was looking at the agenda and I saw the word August on it for some things, and it feels like it was 5 years ago that we were in August. So welcome everybody back. But tonight I have the honor of bringing up Katrina Chu, one of our staff members. So Katrina, if you don't know, is our ESL teacher and also one of our Spanish teachers. And she's a member of the New Jersey Teachers of English Speakers of Other Languages and the New Jersey Bilingual Educator Association. And they are a group of administrators and educators that are dedicated to the instruction of the English language to all levels of public and private education. Katrina is the cornerstone of our program. She assists our teachers in best practices and strategies, and she has truly helped transform Henry Hudson Regional into a school of genuine opportunity for all learners. She continues to speak and advocate on behalf of her students, and she was recently honored for her efforts as the NJT Salt NJBE Member of the Month for the month of August. Ms. Bridget?
All right, hello everybody. I'm Vice Principal and Athletic Director here at Hudson. I have the honor to announce that we were the Shore Conference's 2023-2024 Sportsmanship Award winners for the B Central Division at the University. It's actually a really high honor, and it comes down to be eligible, you have to make it through your fall, winter, and spring seasons with 0 ejections, 0 unsportsmanlike penalties and any conduct like that. And once you get there, it goes kind of to the APs of the division, and they vote through that, and we were the winners. And I gotta tell you, not one season goes by where I don't have some officials compliment us on our athletes and their behavior. It's really quite remarkable. And in 20 years of coaching, I never once had an official tell me that my wrestlers were great sports and did very nicely. So it's quite refreshing to every season, whether it's the soccer boys, field hockey, or basketball players. It's always some of our athletes and the officials are coming up to me, not to complain about something here, but tell me how good our kids are. And it's really awesome. And that's, when you have a philosophy of education-based athletics, yes, we are trying to win championships. We're trying to get names on walls. We're trying to put banners in the gym. However, what's going to stick with the kids is their memories of their teammates and their coaches and fun they have, and the life lessons that they're bringing away when the game doesn't go their way, or when the game goes their way and they act appropriately after the game. So, for us to bring this home again, and it's the second time in the last 4 years, is really pretty remarkable, and it speaks to our scholar athletes, our coaches, and your job with your children. So thank you.
So I also want to congratulate Coach Pritchard for this honor. So Mr. Pritchard and I, we sit on the Shore Conference AD Executive Committee. So I represent superintendents in Monmouth County, and Mr. Pritchard has been voted by his constituents to represent our region on this. And we sit in very long meetings, and we talk a lot about sports. We talk a lot about wins and losses. We talk a lot about unsportsmanlike conduct. We talk about investigations and where programs are going wrong. And I am so proud to sit on that committee all the time. And the only thing that is ever spoken about, Henry Hudson, is how far we've come, how great our students are, how amazing our coaches are, how amazing our fans are. And that is a better reward than anything as a superintendent. And that also speaks to the work that Mr. Pritchard has done to instill that culture in our athletics program. So I just want to
So we'll move on to public comments. Agenda item only. Time to be allocated for public comment this meeting. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board after being recognized by the presiding officer. Please state your name and address for the record. And I know we talked about this last meeting as well, but this is really just 3 minutes for comment, right? It's not so much a question and answer. There's something that's a takeaway after, just find more time to talk about that. Do we have anyone up for the agenda item? All right. Board Secretary certification, you can take that. Approval of minutes. So motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes from 8/21/24, executive meeting minutes from 8/21/24, special meeting minutes from 9/4/24, and executive meeting minutes from 9/4/24. Moved. Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowd?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Ms. Payne Wells?
facilities grounds, the Hudson Regional School District facilities grounds use is operated under policy 7510. All usage is subject to change upon availability. I have a motion. Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Campbell? Mr. Dowd?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Ms. King Wells?
Yes.
Ms. Knox?
Yes.
Mr. Krueger? Ms. Messina?
Yes.
Ms. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Winger?
Yes. Consent agenda, motion to approve the following items on the recommendation of the superintendent. Motion. Any other? Motion. Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Dowd?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Ms. King Wells?
Yes.
Ms. Knox?
Yes.
Mr. Krueger? Ms. Messina?
Yes.
Ms. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Winger?
Yes. On to public comment. So time will be allotted for public comment at this meeting. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board and be recognized by the presiding officer. Please state your name and address for the record. So this is all items, not just agenda. During public comment.
You just have to get closer sometimes.
Is that okay?
That's okay.
Did you guys get the holiday show one?
I'll look at it.
Okay.
If not, we'll just add it. It's fine.
Okay.
It probably just as an oversight.
Okay.
Whatever they send over is what we put on there. So it just took about a month. But I'll check on it and then I'll have it confirmed with you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Bob.
Mark Fisherman, 1/3 Avenue. Just a few comments. I noticed back in early September, there was an article in New Jersey Monitor about Senator Bill Paul preparing legislation that may force school regionalization. He's the Chamber's education chairman, and one of the quotes in his article, or in the article, was, "We're going to look towards seeing that we can seeing what we can do to mandate regionalization." And I suppose that's because relatively few districts have moved to merge with their neighbors, unlike ours. Those of us that live here know that, the school tax is a good portion of our property taxes, and ours is pretty consistent with the state. $17 billion out of the $32 billion budget, so that's 53%, pretty much what we pay. And in the state, $57 billion budget, over $12 billion of that goes towards school aid, and that's additional 21%. So it's a lot of money. Unfortunately, it said the specifics of Senator Gopal's plan remain unclear. The proposal is guaranteed to face opposition. It appears that Governor Murphy is not really happy with what's being proposed. He's quoted, "I want to incentivize districts as opposed to jam districts into regionalization." Paul said he hoped to have consolidation, the bill drafted by October or November of this year. He said it's the start of a conversation that I think desperately needs to happen in New Jersey with 600 school districts. Everybody loves the idea of consolidation, they just don't want it in their backyard. Now, I know in the last 6 years, many of you here were involved with the whole conversation, the effort around regionalization, and I know many times in that conversation, there were comments that, if we don't do something, we're going to be forced to join Middle Town, guess, was always a possibility. I don't know how much I believe that, but now that the senator is proposing this, to me, that's a much stronger possibility. Even though with the effort that we're going through with regionalization and whether or not to bring Seabright into the district at some point, right, that could all be upended by a much larger picture that we all may or may not like, whether we have children in the school district or not. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. I'm sure the senator, after the election, the smoke clears from the election, will have more comments. But speaking of regionalization, today there was a court hearing in Monmouth County. This was the appeal for the boroughs of Highlands and Seabright to have a non-binding question on the November 5th ballot. Sure, the motion court appealed that. They wanted a judge to throw that out, and the judge thought better, and he voted in favor of the two boroughs being able to put that non-binding question on their ballots this November. Also, on I guess it's the second appeal for the Department of Education Commissioner's decision to allow Seabright to exit Shore in Oceanport. That hearing is going to be on October 1st with Trent at the appellate court. And that is going to actually be live streamed. So I know the hearing starts at 9:30. I don't have any details on the live stream, which one they're going to use and how to get to it, but I think it's just good information that, again, if we ever get to a step 2 with allowing Seabright to come into this district, this is obviously the first step, this judge's decision. And then the last thing is there's going to be I heard Highlands is going to have a regionalization town hall on September 30th. And I hope the residents and the candidates for this board go there just to hear the latest and greatest on what's been going on. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, Mr. Lopal will not reach out to me for comment on the article.
It's not.
Maybe next time. Anyone else?
I know, because we're the only ones, like you said, there's no one else to talk about.
Yes, Joe.
Here in 29 and towns. Again, I don't hear everything that's going on in the meetings. I keep repeating it's the sound system in here. I would hope that at some point we can have some kind of thing so that everybody, even people who are hard of hearing, will be able to hear these meetings. I have to tell you though, walking in here tonight is the first I've been in here in a few weeks, but walking in here tonight, I gotta commend your departments that keep this place clean because it's so absolutely spotless. I was almost afraid to walk on the walkway coming in, in the hallway coming in because it's glowing. It literally is glowing. So it's nice to see that you keep this wonderful building in such terrific shape and keep it up. So I do want to thank you for all of that. It was spectacular to see one more time, but it's always clean up here. Can you tell me what's the student population now in each of the schools?
So I don't know the exact numbers in front of me as of today, but I can send you the exact numbers tomorrow. We're just a little over 300, 7 through 12 up here. Last time I looked, 287 in Atlantic Highlands. That includes our preschool students, and then around 165, 166, 159. I'm sorry. 150. There's the source.
Okay. And how has the population changed now that we're regionalized? Is that a fair question? Do the same kids go to the same schools?
The
changed with regionalization as far as education, placement of education?
I mean, so, can you clarify your question a little bit? What has changed? So we just became regionalized in July 1. So like we talked about in our presentations, our students still go to the same schools, they still come to Henry Hudson. What it does is it gives us some flexibility in terms of programming. So where, for example, we have a preschool disabled class at Atlantic Highlands, we don't have one at Highlands. So any students that are maybe classified as a preschool disabled student, Atlantic Highlands in the past was actually considered an out-of-district placement, which had to be approved by the state. There was a process through that, and that didn't mean that they could just necessarily go to Atlantic Highlands because there's an out-of-district placement. Now, it's within the district. The same thing with freeing up preschool, right? We have 5 classrooms of 15 students, so we can service 75 children in those 5 classrooms because it's not just restrictive. So if we're full, classrooms are full because of the makeup of the classrooms or whatever at one school, we still have space at another school, so we're not closing people out like we were before because that grant or that program was specific only to Highlands Elementary School. In terms of professional development, collaboration, because of the unification of the collective bargaining agreement, we've been able to streamline professional development opportunities. Sharing of staff is not as restrictive because they're all following the same terms and conditions of employment. So that's helped us in making sure that our human resources are allocated appropriately to the buildings without having to worry about, does it fit into this grant, that this school, like allocations that they have. So now that's a little bit more seamless. As we continue through this process, after this year, then we'll start to look at where we can have pockets of either greater collaboration or program sharing or program development. One area that we continue to look at is our multi-language learners. That is a population within the state of New Jersey that is exploding at a rapid rate. So when we continue to increase our students that require English as a second language services or bilingual services, we have to start looking at our programming differently. And that population has significantly increased over the last couple of years. So now that we're regionalized, we are able to look at that program completely different than when we were before. So those are some of the things that we'll look at across this year.
Okay. Would any of them take effect this year, or it's not a good question to ask?
So not this year, because we just got to that.
Right.
Yeah, so we need this year of exploration.
That's right.
Yep.
And then, I noticed one of the teachers, has off the entire year, leave of absence from September to June, but it's an intermittent. Does that mean that she or he is here some days and not here some days?
I can't speak to any personnel matters. An intermittent leave would mean that they, depending on whatever their needs are, they are here sometimes and they're off.
That's what it is. Intermittent means sometimes here, sometimes
Yes.
not. Okay, thank you, Patty, I appreciate it.
Any other comments? Any board education comments? All right, so we are going to go into the executive session. Motion. Second. To go into a closed executive session at 7:35 p.m. for approximately 75 minutes. Action may be taken after the closed session.